The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Tuesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the market for a brand new or slightly used automobile, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your wallet, to check out the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. They have a fantastic sales department, a great service department, and a very, very good finance department. And well, look, add it all up, and that's a tremendous car dealership that you need to see before you put pen to paper and sign the next 4 to 7 years of your life away with car payments. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your wallet to check out the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. With you till 3 o'clock for the next 3 hours. We'll be talking all kinds of local sports. I got one of the legends of local sports on in about 13 minutes or so. Jim Campbell, who recently retired from the broadcasting industry. He's going to be calling in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. If you're a local sports fan and have been a local sports fan for quite some time, you most definitely will recognize the name. Plain and simple, he was the dean of television sports throughout the 80s, 90s, and early 21st century here in Youngstown. An iconic name locally. And enjoying retirement, and we will catch up with Jim Campbell and talk about life as a television broadcaster in an era where we really didn't have the internet, didn't have computers, and how different the world was back when he was in the height of his popularity over in Youngstown doing some sports. So we will chat with Jim Campbell. Did want to begin the program. Unfortunately, there were a lot of tournament games in softball. D1 and D4 were to have played yesterday, and a lot of games that were pushed to today, unfortunately, because of inclement weather and the damage that Mother Nature did to the respective softball fields on Sunday when she let loose with about an inch or two of rain. Although there were some games that were played, tournament games that were played yesterday in Division 4. Southern got past Fairport Harbor 8-5. Bloomfield beat Leetonia 11-6. Brookfield eliminated Ashtabula St. John 15-1. That's in the Candlelight Knolls District. So Southern will be traveling to Matthews to take on the top-seeded Matthews Mustangs. Bloomfield, thanks to their victory over Leetonia, Bloomfield will travel to Badger to take on number 8 Badger. And finally, Lordstown will be traveling. Lordstown had the bye. Lordstown will be traveling to take on the number 4-seeded Brookfield Warriors. Today, Chalker is going to visit Wyndham, with the winner of that game taking on the 5th seed Lisbon Blue Devils tomorrow. Those games, the sectional bracket finals, are going to be on Wednesday. That is tomorrow. The Jackson-Milton District had one game that was played. Sebring defeated Wellsville 8-3. They are going to move on as Sebring will wind up playing Bristol. Bristol is the 6th seed in the Super Size Me tournaments. The 3 games that were postponed from yesterday that will be played today, Kennedy will be at Lowellville, Middlefield Cardinal is at Mineral Ridge, and Maplewood is at Western Reserve. Division 1, there were 2 games played in the Austintown district. Canton Glen Oak, no shock, they shut out Akron Kenmore Garfield 23-0. So Glen Oak will be traveling to Austintown to take on the top-seeded Austintown Fitch Falcons. Canton Glen Oak comes into the tournament with a 20 seed. And they knocked off Kenmore Garfield, the 31st seed in this 33-team Super Size Me district. So Canton Glen Oak, the 20 seed, will be taking on top-seeded Austintown Fitch tomorrow afternoon. Meanwhile, Mentor blew out Lyndhurst Brush 18-1. Mentor will be traveling to Boardman on Wednesday to take on the Spartans. Mentor is the 12 seed. Boardman is the 10 seed. One game that will be played today that did not get going because of Mother Nature. Warren Harding will visit Howland. Harding is the 33rd seed in this tournament. Howland comes into this tournament with a home game. The Howland Tigers are going to be or are seeded 21st in this tournament, and the winner of that game will be taking on North Canton Hoover up in North Canton. North Canton Hoover is the 5 seed. The winner of that game will travel to North Canton on Wednesday to take on North Canton Hoover. I did want to shout out to my alma mater, in particular, the Leetonia head softball coach, Missy Brock. This is her first year. Considering that in 2019 the Bears went 1-20, and this year they only played 17 regular season games. Unfortunately, they were the victim, as most everyone was. Most teams were not able to get their entire 21-game season complete or somewhere thereabouts because of COVID or some things related to COVID. Anytime you can go from 1 win to 8 wins, that's a pretty damn good job. And I know that she got a little bit of help from John McElduff. So for Coach Brock and Coach McElduff to take this team that went 1-20 in 2019 and improve the win total from 1 to 8 wins. They did a fantastic job. And hopefully, and this is the case in the small schools, not just Leetonia, but all of the small schools, participation in sports, especially if you have 2 or 3 other sports in the in competition during that time of the year. I know that for Leetonia, track and field is the main competition in springtime. I believe the 2 spring sports for the girls' sports is softball and track and field, and the 2 sports for the guys is baseball and track and field. There were some kids that didn't go out this year. I don't know if it was because they didn't want to based on what the team did in 2019 or if there was no interest. But when you get a program that starts winning some games, you generate more interest. And hopefully, especially in the pitching department, because the Bears only had 1 pitcher. I would have loved to have seen what this team could have done with multiple pitchers. I think that the Bears would have been a very good softball team if they had had more than 1 pitcher. Unfortunately, they didn't. And because of that, well, unfortunately, they suffered this year because they only had 1 pitcher. But I thought that Coach Missy Brock did a fantastic job with this team. under the circumstances. And hopefully, not just at Leetonia, but hopefully in a lot of the smaller schools, the numbers will be a whole lot better. I know when you go to a smaller school, numbers tend to be the issue with athletics. And the only way those numbers go up is if you have a really good program, then everyone starts getting some interest. And one of the ways in which you get a good program is developing the kids under high school. It's so important for programs to be developed in the early stages of youth, long before they get into high school. And I think that this year, I thought Leetonia had a good year, and congratulations to the ladies, and congratulations to Coach Brock and Coach McElduff. That was fantastic. To go from 1 to 8 wins, absolutely fantastic. All right, here's your schedule for today. Division 2 and Division 3 will grab the spotlight, although, as we mentioned, there are going to be some games in Divisions 1 and 4. Harding is at Howland in Division 1 locally. Division 2 in the Hubbard District, Lakeview will visit Geneva. Struthers is at Alliance. Cheney is at Girard. Salem travels to Streetsboro. And Southeast is at Painesville Harvey. All of those games will begin at 5 o'clock. In the Jefferson District, Ravenna is at West Branch. East will visit Jefferson, and Niles will travel to Chardon to take on Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. Those games begin at 5 o'clock. The other two games in that district, Kenston is at Ashtabula Edgewood. West Geauga is at Perry. Both of those games do not have local teams, let alone YSN teams. So be that as it may, those games begin at 5 o'clock. Division 3, the LeBray District gets underway today. Conneaut is at Springfield. Kirtland visits LeBray. East Palestine will travel to Garrettsville to take on the Garrettsville-Garfield G-Men. And Liberty will be at Cardinal Mooney. All of those games will begin at 5 o'clock in the, and I'm using air quotes here, South Range District. It's actually, the games are going to be played at YSU at Farmers National Bank Field. Your sectional first round games, Campbell is at Ursuline. United will visit Rootstown, and Crestwood is at Newton Falls. Those games will start at 5 o'clock. We made mention there are some games that were rescheduled for today in Division 4. One game in the Candlelight Knolls District, Chalker will visit Wyndham, and in the Jackson-Milton District, 3 games to be played today. Kennedy is at Lowville, Middlefield Cardinal at Mineral Ridge, and Maplewood at Western Reserve. All of those games will begin at 5 o'clock. All right, we'll take a timeout. On the other side, we will hear from a now retired television anchor. Jim Campbell comes by via the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. We'll talk with Jim Campbell coming up after this timeout. It is a Tuesday edition of Running Points presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Klim from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, one of the best to do television sports in our area, and he did it for quite a long time, and was a he was probably the most honest voice for sports broadcasters growing up, and I loved a lot of the things that he did, not only on television but in his later years doing broadcasting on the radio. Jim Campbell joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Jim, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. How about your own self?
I'm doing well. Retirement is suiting you well?
Yes, I think so. In many ways, yes, it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Things I missed. There are some things I don't.
Well, there you go. There you go. You know, years and years ago, you're a fresh-faced kid coming from Wisconsin, coming into the Mahoning Valley. You had just graduated from college. You served honorably in the Vietnam War. You get out of college with a degree in sports and in media, and you come to Youngstown.
Actually, you know what, Ron? I never set foot in a college classroom.
Really?
Really. I started working in radio about 18 months after I graduated from high school. I had gone to a broadcasting school in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And my teacher there, or my instructor there, was a guy who had worked at CBS Radio back in its heyday, worked with Arthur Godfrey and some other legends, and was actually doing a nighttime announce booth shift at the NBC affiliate in Milwaukee as part of his retirement. So, yeah, I did that, and then a few months later was my first air shift was Christmas Eve of 1967. So I learned really quickly there's no such thing as holidays in broadcasting.
Something else that we have in common. I always thought you went to college because with me, I tried it and I was like, I can't do it. I couldn't keep the grades up, and I just wasn't interested in the non-broadcasting classes. So I went into broadcasting school, had a blast doing it, got out of there, and then started my career.
Yeah, well, I went a route that you couldn't go today. Certainly, I think it would be very, very difficult to start a broadcasting career without some type of a degree. But yeah, I did that for about 6 months. Got drafted, got wounded, came back to the States, and fortunately, while I was serving out my time in the military, in country, as they say, or here, I was able to hook up a part-time weekend gig in the newsroom of the local CBS radio and TV affiliate, and then after 2 years of doing that, I fooled them into hiring me full-time, and I did that for another, 3 years or almost 4 years before coming to Youngstown. And the rest, as they say, is history for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, you came into town in the early 70s, and you replaced a guy that was insanely popular in Youngstown, in Don Gardner. How many times were you reminded that you replaced a quote legend in the community?
In a good way, many times.
Yeah.
But nobody ever that I can recall, or maybe I've just blocked it out, but that I can recall, nobody ever said, "Hey kid, who do you think you are? What do you think you're doing?" Fortunately, I've always thought that the folks in town gave a not totally unfamiliar face, because I had, in the year that before I started doing sports, I was actually hired as the assistant news director. But I had done virtually everything on air at my previous location, including weekend sports and being a photographer when it was still film, and processing and editing that, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I had already, as part of what I did when I came to Youngstown, I had already filled in for Don when he was on the road with Youngstown State. So I did, weekend gigs and weeknight gigs when the basketball team was playing off at Gannon or some other place. So I wasn't a totally unfamiliar face, but nonetheless, it was an interesting experience, and I've always been grateful that the audience here, that had become so accustomed to Don Gardner, gave me a chance to succeed or fail on my own. So.
You came in a really interesting time. The steel mills were still cranking out.
Yep.
It was a few years before Black Monday, so you caught the tail end of Youngstown in its heyday, with steel being the main contributor, and because of that, you were on the tail end of Youngstown, and more importantly, the surrounding areas, where this area was a lot more populated than it is now. More population, larger schools, may or may not equal more talent, but certainly the high school football, high school basketball. It was, especially basketball. Basketball was a big success in our area, a heck of a lot more than it is now statewide. And you came in a really unique time from that perspective, and also the perspective of Youngstown State moving from Division II to Division I, and the dawning of a new era from Bill Narduzzi to a young kid who later became one of the greatest college football coaches in FCS, and then took his act to Ohio State and became a little successful down there as well, and now back at Youngstown State as the president of Youngstown State, Jim Tressel. It was an interesting time, in the years leading up to the Black Monday, but then some great things coming out of the university. Essentially, you've pretty much seen it all, Jim.
Yeah, it was a really interesting time when I got here. The city of Youngstown, for example, had 6 high schools, and they were playing some good football. Cheney was still on one of its legendary runs of consecutive City Series championships, and of course the playoffs were still a new thing then. They had only started, I think, the year before I got here, if I'm not mistaken, and there were some powerhouse football programs. They were only, taking 4 teams at the time in each of 3 divisions. So the playoff thing wasn't a big deal, but I do remember, and I couldn't have been here, I don't even think it was 1980 yet, and the NCAA put out there was no internet, and even faxes were not a thing then, and they sent out a publication that showed that the Youngstown-Warren metro area had more players per capita in Division I football than any metro area in the country. That's how big it was. And of course, and the area was known for its football first and foremost, but you do mention the basketball, and it was pretty awesome. A lot of good players came out of here. I remember going to the Struthers Field House where they held the sectional and district tournament for AAA. There were 17 teams in that tournament. I mean, and the place was packed. I mean, it was awesome. The fan support here, as you say, population was higher. There was a lot of people had money. They were working. I remember one of the first high school football games I covered. It was at the South High Stadium, the impression that I walked away from that with was not only were there a lot of people there, but about half of them, was my observation at the time, were women. And I thought, whoa, I have stumbled into something really special here. The fact that the community has that type of interest in the sport, and not all of them, obviously. If you've got 8,000 or 10,000 people in the seats at South High Field, were watching their sons or their nephews or their grandkids or whatever. These were people that were just interested in football. It was part of the culture, the tradition. Really, really awesome. And then, of course, we mentioned Bill Narduzzi, did get to do the Youngstown State's first appearance in a national championship football game when they made it to the 79 Division II title game against Delaware after an amazing end-of-the-season, regular season game against the Blue Hens, played at Fitz Stadium at the time. So that was pretty fantastic. Got a chance early on to get the area's first girls state basketball championship team, broadcast that game with Struthers and Bonnie Beachy and company down in Columbus, and it truly was an amazing time. And of course, that also I got here when Don Roselli was, well, he still had a long way to go as head coach, but he had a great Division II team with a couple of Hall of Famers, including Jeff Covington. I was doing radio for him then, and it was fun. They beat Pitt here, a Division II team. They beat a decent Pitt team at Beagley Center when it was packed. They had a great rivalry with I don't even know if this school still exists. You remember Philadelphia Textile?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they came in here, and again, like now, who would think Philadelphia Textile would draw flies? Beagley Center was packed to the rafters. And it was just an amazing time to be doing sports. Not to mention having the opportunity, being as close as we are to Pittsburgh and Cleveland, being able to occasionally touch base with the major league teams in those marketplaces. So just totally awesome. And then of course the Tressel era began, and the community changed again during hard times, because that was barely 6 years after the mills closed, and things were tough. And I believe in many ways this community might have just folded up it wouldn't have disappeared from the map, but would have been very, very different if Jim Tressel hadn't come along when he did.
Yeah, and it was a perfect storm. I've said that for years. It was a perfect storm. The MAC was nowhere near as popular as it is now, especially with the television contract they have.
Right.
It was a era in which you could recruit against that conference and recruit quite well against that conference.
And beat those teams.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was a perfect storm, and God bless the university and Coach Tressel. They took full advantage of that and just started something that hopefully we're going to be able to get a taste of that very, very soon with Coach Phillips. But I wanted to back up a little bit because
sure,
in your era, and I thought the 70s and 80s were special in that the local sportscaster, that job was really, really special. Considering computers were in its infancy, we didn't have internet. The only form of getting your news was via a newspaper or watching the television, because you didn't have, like I said, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have the opportunity to gather information into as much as you can now. The responsibility of the local sports broadcaster or the local sports columnist was so much more revered because of the fact that we had very little resources, the public.
Absolutely. The print media was still huge, and the advantage and there was a competition. It wasn't a cutthroat type competition. But there was really competition, and in those days, certainly, again, because of population, advertising revenue, the sports page of the two main local papers, in particular, the Vindicator and the Tribune Chronicle, were quite a sight to behold. They were packed with information, and not just, game stuff and statistics, but a lot of feature material, and it was almost really like a big time town, in a big time city in a small town, a smaller community. It was very, very, very impressive. And I think the advantage, obviously, that TV had was that we could be the most current. Once a newspaper's printed, it's printed. The news gets older every minute. The advantage we had with TV was that it was immediate. And one of the things that I did when I came here, and we were still shooting film then, but about 18 months after I got here, the new news director got us into electronic journalism, the first, videotape news gathering, which made an even bigger difference because you could stay at games longer and start to really tell stories with the pictures. And that's one of the things that I tried to do, was to tell those stories. And I know today the vogue is, well, we're going to go to 12 or 14 games so that people can see themselves on TV when we take a crowd shot, so we have a presence in all those communities. And I get that. I totally get that. My philosophy was, let's pick 2 or 3 games and we'll stay from opening kickoff until it's over, and then tell the story of that game.
Okay, let me ask you, Jim, because we only have a limited time. Obviously,
right.
you got responsibilities, and being retired, you still got responsibilities. I mean, you're a pretty famous person still. When you look at the industry today, has the industry caught up to the technology today in terms of how they use the technology properly?
Oh, I think there's no question that technology has made the electronic media even more able to provide virtually instantaneous gratification for the sports fan. I mean, you can go on a website that covers professional Major League sports, and probably within 3 to 5 minutes after somebody has hit a big home run, you can see the video of it, or something to that effect. Certainly, all the websites and the Twitter and all the various places where results can be reported, in some cases shown, and the advent of satellite technology and now digital technology to transmit images. You can do more things live, and you can do them at less expense than there used to be. So I don't think there's any question that the media, and everybody has their own websites, individual reporters have their own social media accounts. I don't think there's any question that today's media, including to a huge degree the sports media, is maximizing its use of the technology.
Jim Campbell, our guest on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. I want to go back years and years ago. This was probably 75 or 76. The assistant tournament director at the Struthers Fieldhouse was a really good friend of the family. He was the principal at Leetonia High School. My father was on the school board, and I believe one of my siblings, soon to be 2 of my siblings, were in high school. One definitely, and my older brother was going to be going into high school the next year. I think I was in 6th grade when this happened. Mr. Schwab would always give us passes to go to the Class A and Class AAA tournaments because he knew that I was a huge basketball fan, and my mom would always love to take me to the field house and we'd watch basketball. Well, unfortunately, I was really sick, and I had the flu, and Mr. Schwab somehow got you to say hi to me on the radio. And the next day in school, because I went to school the next day. Everyone was like, "How in the hell did you get Jim Campbell to say hi to you on the radio?" And I was just like, you know what? I knew I wanted to be in your field, but you were a local influence for me to really pursue it. And I think that part of it, that was part of it. The fact that you personalized that in my direction by saying hi to me when I was sick. I thought, and it brought back some for me when I got into broadcasting. It reminded me, hey, we're in a pretty cool position, and we have an opportunity to reach out to those who might be interested in doing this in the form that you did.
Well, I think here's the approach that I took, really. And I passed this along to people that I hired along the way or may have mentored in some way along the way. The first thing you have to do is be yourself. I was never a fan of guys that had a gimmick, or you hear him or watch him and you think, is that the way he talks when he's not kind of a thing? So that's openers. That's for openers. The second thing is that you have to be credible. And, you can be excited. Especially, we had a great, opportunity, obviously, when you're broadcasting, for instance, a high school game. Well, you're not the announcer for just one of those teams. You're not a home announcer. So you can be excited about everything, which is good. But you also have to be objective. Good things and bad things happen, and you have to report them that way. You cannot, you can't make stuff up and or slant it. That's a better way to put it. And that became true even in all the years on and off that I was doing Youngstown State as the home announcer. And again, I would tell, young people trying to get into the business who wanted to be in that position, I said, there's a big difference between being the home announcer and a homer. And a home announcer is, there's no doubt, I wanted Youngstown State to be successful. But I had to tell it like it was. When they weren't playing well or something went wrong, it wasn't somebody else's fault. And you could also still get excited when somebody from the opposition made a terrific play. So I think those are the things. You just have to be yourself. You have to be objective. You have to be fair. And most of all, you have to make it not about yourself or not about an agenda. It's about the kids. It's about the players. It's about the game. And if you can have fun while you're doing it and be professional in the process, the people at home who are watching or listening or both are also going to be able to have fun. That enhances their enjoyment. And hopefully it worked. And, there are a bunch of people that I hired along the way that have moved along in the biz and I think took some of that to heart, and the results of their efforts have paid off as well.
You had an opportunity to move on from Youngstown, to go to bigger markets, and you chose to stay in Youngstown, which is a testament to just the atmosphere here is home. It's the Mahoning Valley there are warts in the Mahoning Valley. There's no question about that, but it's home. It's my home. I left this area for 12 years en route to try to do something that I wanted to do for my whole life, to be a Major League Baseball broadcaster. It didn't work out. Do I go back home? Damn right I do, because it's home.
Yeah, this became home, and I don't know about I suppose, yeah. I mean, you can have an opportunity to go to bigger marketplaces. It depends upon how hungry you are to pursue those. And there were a couple times along the way when, I put feelers out for openings that I thought I was A, qualified for, and B, might be a good thing to do. I didn't probably pursue those as hard as I could have. I had as a little kid, I had the same dream you did. I wanted to be a Major League Baseball announcer. I took some counseling from a couple of guys that were doing it about what it would take. And I was at that point in my career where I didn't feel like, oh man, can I go back and work in some podunk town doing Class A ball for half of what I'm making now and for who knows for how long. And I didn't do it. So, but I think overall, I think things turned out okay.
Don't forget about the insanely long bus rides in the middle of the night, because those are fun, said no one. Jim?
Well, yeah. Well, I took a few long bus rides myself before, when I was doing a lot of YSU stuff, especially basketball, because they weren't flying many places, so we had a lot of bus adventures. Those were fun. Those were fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we let you go, what would you tell a young kid that is looking to get into the industry?
Well, be prepared to face some disappointment. It's a lot harder, I think, to get into now than it was when I got into it, because there are a lot of schools now churning out hundreds and thousands of talented people who are, that was what they were trained to do, and they're out there all fighting for the limited number of job openings there are. And secondly, and I think this actually is more important than maybe any advice I've ever given anybody, no experience is bad experience. Even if you take a job that it's not exactly what you want, or that you are pointed toward, that experience will be invaluable and will help you get to where you want to go. The list of things that I did, from taking meter readings at the radio station while I was on the air as a disc jockey, to learning how to shoot, film and process it and edit it and all those things, be a producer, be a general assignment news reporter, to being a assistant news director, to all those things are invaluable, because you learn everybody else's job to a degree. You can understand their problems, which helps, relationships when things don't go well. I didn't always handle things that didn't go very well myself, but no experience is bad experience. So be prepared to have to, put your foot in almost any door and keep it there, and then work your way into the room slowly, and make the best of your talents. And again, enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to be happy, and neither are the people that you are broadcasting to or with.
Yeah, you have to love what you do, because if you don't, then you're wasting your time, and more importantly, you're wasting the viewer's time or the listener's time.
True, to a great extent.
Yeah. Jim, always a pleasure to catch up with you. And like I said, you have. I hope that you now realize how much influence that you had in me pursuing this. You locally, you were the guy locally, and then you get some guys regionally and nationally that I heard growing up as an Indians fan, a huge Joe Tate fan. And obviously nationally, when I got into my teen years, Dick Enberg was someone that I admired. Vin Scully, Pat Summerall, but locally, you were the guy that had the most influence on my decision to go into broadcasting.
Well, I appreciate that, and again, my thanks goes out to a community that gave me a chance to make it or break it on my own, and I appreciate that. It was a great ride, and did 21 years as sports director on TV, and then did another 20 on radio, and did a lot more of some of the things that I really like to do, including play-by-play. So it all, as I say, I think it all turned out okay.
A career that was filled with a lot of great memories, and that is everyone's dream that gets into this business, to have a career filled with great memories, and you did it pretty well. So that's something to hang your hat on, because that it's extremely important. You did it with class, you did it with credibility, and that's one of the reasons why I absolutely loved your work growing up and today.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that from another pro. I appreciate it.
Well, I don't know if I could call myself that or not, but we'll go with that. Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, all right. Yeah, Your Honor, I rest my case.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Or I put myself at the mercy of the
court. Yeah, well, in my case, I throw myself on the mercy of the court every day between noon and 3. What can I tell you? Jim, always a pleasure, sir.
Thanks for calling. I appreciate being thought of.
You got it, my friend. Jim Campbell, legendary television and radio voice in the Mahoning Valley. Really, really good to catch up with Jim Campbell. All right, we'll take a time out. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. Got some baseball and softball scores, regular season games, believe it or not. Now, of course, with baseball, this is the final week of the regular season, and fortunately, knock on wood, we're not supposed to have any rain the rest of the week. It's supposed to be pretty good. It's supposed to be actually really good weather. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, we'll take a timeout, be back with more on this Tuesday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer goes the extra mile to bring you the largest selection of vehicles at one convenient location. With guaranteed credit approval, I will find you the right vehicle and the right financing options for you. I am ready to go the extra mile to show you why no other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Many thanks to Jim Campbell for chiming in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. And speaking of the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, we go to that line where we bring in YSU broadcaster Richie Giuliano. Richie, how are you today, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing well, Ron. How about yourself?
I cannot complain, and as I look at the standings, I'm really not complaining right now. Youngstown State on the precipice of clinching a playoff spot, courtesy of taking 3 out of 4 from the Mastodons of Purdue-Fort Wayne, while Northern Kentucky was struggling a bit. The magic number is actually down to 1. So it's a foregone conclusion Youngstown State's going to be in the tournament. Will officially get into the tournament sometime this weekend without Youngstown State even playing a game conference-wise.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I know we were talking a little bit off air. Northern Kentucky really had a big chance to climb into that, 3 or 4 spot this weekend, but they kind of had things slip away from them. They played Oakland, and they lost 3 out of 4, and that's such a big series because Milwaukee, who's in 4th right now, played Wright State, the top seed. Luckily, they were able to take 1 out of those 4 games. I know we were talking last week, we thought they were going to get swept, but they were able to take at least 1 at Wright State. So that would have put Northern Kentucky only 1 game back coming into this weekend, and those 2 teams will meet at Milwaukee this weekend. So it could have been a very interesting series. It still is because if Northern Kentucky could take 3 out of 4, technically they're in that 4 spot, and then Milwaukee plays Youngstown State down the year, Northern Kentucky plays UIC. But I think the Norse really did blow a big opportunity this weekend. But looking at it from a Youngstown State perspective, we're right in the driver's seat now. We take care of business against Milwaukee, and you pretty much wrap up that 3 spot. Hopefully UIC might lose a game or 2, and then you might bump up to 2.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this, and you mentioned this weekend, probably the series of the year is going to be Northern Kentucky and Milwaukee, mainly because 4th place will pretty much be determined this weekend, especially if one of these teams can win 3 out of 4 or sweep the other team. Then you can pencil that team in for the 4 spot and go from there. And if you're a Penguins fan, and we all are, you'd probably want Northern Kentucky to take care of business against Milwaukee, knowing that they have UIC the next weekend. So let's say Northern Kentucky gets hot here in the final 8 games and they win 6 of those 8, take 3 out of 4 from Milwaukee, 3 out of 4 from UIC. That helps Youngstown State, assuming they can take care of business against Milwaukee next weekend.
Yeah, you're exactly right there. If Northern Kentucky can get hot, say they take 3 out of 4, like you said, against Milwaukee, and if they can knock off maybe 1 or 2 against UIC, and the Penguins have played so well at home. They're 16-3 at home. They're probably not going to get swept by Milwaukee. They're probably going to take either 3 out of 4 or sweep. So, I mean, if you could take 3 out of 4 and hope that Northern Kentucky heats up a little bit and maybe pokes 1 or 2 away from UIC, you slide right into that 2 spot, and next thing you know, you have the home advantage in the first round of the tournament. And that's really all that teams are battling for right now in the top 2 and 3 is UIC and Youngstown State, because Wright State basically has the 1 seed already wrapped up. So they're just playing Oakland and then Purdue-Fort Wayne just to get reps in before the tournament, because those teams are pretty much mathematically eliminated. It's up between UIC, Youngstown State, Milwaukee, and Northern Kentucky for that 4 spot right now, and then 2 through 3 is UIC and Youngstown State. And who knows? The Norse get hot a little bit. They take down the Flames 1 or 2, and the Penguins have that home field advantage in Game 1.
Unfortunately, the Penguins are going to have to rely on Purdue-Fort Wayne to do some damage against UIC this weekend. That's the team UIC is playing. So, I mean, obviously, UIC should be favored, even though the games are going to be played in Fort Wayne. The Penguins have to rely on the last place team in Purdue-Fort Wayne to at least get a split with UIC and then have Northern Kentucky take care of them. I mean, the odds are stacked against Youngstown State to jump UIC, but it's pretty apparent that Youngstown State is going to be finishing no lower than 3rd in this conference, which means, all right, you have a matchup with UIC, and we mentioned this last week. At the bottom line is the final 2 weekends of the season, we're going to figure out whether Youngstown State's playing a home game or they're going to be getting their road uniforms on when they play UIC in the first round at Wright State.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But I really wouldn't put it past Purdue-Fort Wayne right now to pull off at least 1 or 2 against UIC. I mean, looking at the series last weekend, Youngstown State was an inning away from dropping that doubleheader where they would have split the series. I mean, Purdue-Fort Wayne's got some really good arms in their first and second guys. They decided to match them up against Perez and Snyder because they didn't want to go against Floyd because he's been a victory machine. And then Colin Clark's been pitching well. He was the reigning Horizon League Pitcher of the Week. So they saved their two best arms for that Saturday better, and Jacob Meyer and Justin Miller, two guys that have really good off-speed stuff. And if the wind's blowing in at UIC, then I could see the Mastodons poking a few runs on the board and upsetting the Flames. I think the team comes to the pitch staff, they just struggled putting up some runs this year. So if the Mastodons could put some things together, I think they might actually have a chance to take one or two away from UIC.
Richie Giuliano, the YSU baseball broadcaster, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. You mentioned Colin Clark. He is the reigning Horizon League Pitcher of the Week. Richie, I got to be honest with you. If Colin Clark can pitch the way that he did a couple of weekends ago when he threw an absolute masterpiece in a league game for the Penguins, if we see that Colin Clark from now through the tournaments, and you add a Colin Floyd and a John Snyder, boy, is this team going to be really difficult to beat in the tournament.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That three-pitch mix right there between those three guys is pretty incredible when you think about a starting rotation in the Horizon League. But I think the biggest question right now is who is going to pitch that game number one of the tournament. And I think there's been some debate going back and forth. If Colin Clark can continue to pitch the way he has in the last couple of weeks, I think they're going to start him game number one against UIC. That would save Floyd for Wright State. Floyd beat Wright State once, and he dropped a very tough loss when they blooped a single in to win 2-1 in that 7-inning game. So I like Youngstown State's chances. If they could get Clark to get us a victory against UIC, you save your ace and Colin Floyd, who's been pretty much the Horizon League pitcher of the year this season against the Raiders offense, who hasn't been able to touch him very well except for one bloop single here and there. So I think if Colin Clark can throw well against Bellarmine this weekend, if he shuts down Milwaukee, I think that he might get the spot for that first game against UIC in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that first game is absolutely huge because I was doing some thinking and research of a 4-team double elimination tournament. If you lose the first game, you now have to win 5 games in a row to win that tournament. That's how big this first game is. So if Colin Clark is on, okay, but boy, that would be a really tough decision to go against the guy that has been as close to automatic as humanly possible, because if you win that first game and get to the final 2 in terms of the 2 teams that are left that are unbeaten in the tournament, well, if you lose that game, all you need to do is win 3 games in a row, and you move on to the NCAA tournament. If you obviously win the first 2 games, then all you need to do is win 1 more game without losing 2. In other words, you got to win 1 out of 3 and hope that you win the 1 game before you lose the 2 games first, and you're in the tournament. But man, that first game, it's incredibly important because if you find yourself in the loser's bracket, now you got to win 5 games in a row in order to get into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there. It's a pivotal first game, and I think that's going to be the toughest decision that Coach Dan Bertolini and this entire staff is going to have to make coming into the tournament, knowing that Wright State will probably knock off the 4 seed. And you want your ace, Colin Floyd, to pitch against Wright State just because how good he has been this year against the Raiders. Colin Clark has struggled a little bit against them. But looking in hindsight, you don't want to lose that first game like you mentioned, because then you got that steep hill to climb where you got to win 5 in a row, and you won't have Floyd for the semifinal or championship game either. So it's a tough decision to make, and it's really hard because of how this tournament is set up, where there's only 4 teams, and you could go home on the first night, because if you lose game 1, You play at 7 o'clock that same night on Thursday. Say Floyd doesn't have his stuff that night, you're done. So it's a very difficult decision to make. You either look like the hero in that situation, or you look back just punching yourself because you should have done something else. It's very tough.
Well, obviously, you have the two games that are scheduled for Thursday. So by the end of Thursday night, you're going to have one winner left in the bracket. So that team is automatically in the championship round where they have the advantage, where the only way they get bounced is if the team coming out of the loser bracket beats them 2 times in a row. So you'll have one winner left, and you'll have 3 losers left in the losers bracket. The 2 teams that lost in the first game will play each other again, and then the team that had lost the second game in the winners bracket would play the winner of that loser bracket game, which would be the second game on Friday, and then Saturday you would have game 1. The undefeated team against the team with 1 loss, and if the undefeated team wins, then that's it. Tournament's over. The undefeated team moves on to the NCAA tournament. If the 1-loss team happens to beat them, then that second game is 1 game, NCAA tournament on the line. May the best team win.
Yeah, it's like you just pretty much scoped out the entire tournament. And it's tough to play in a 4-team tournament where it's double elimination, because if you lose that first one, you either have to have a very built-up and, stock pitching staff, or you're going to have to throw a couple bullpen games, because that's how tough it'll be if you want to climb back into that winner's bracket. And I think that's where Youngstown State does have this advantage. And I mean, even Nick Perez, who's a young freshman, if they do lose that first game, he's going to have to start at some point later on in the tournament if they want to get back to that championship game. And he's really been throwing well the past couple weekends as well. He got his kinks out early in the season. He's trying to find his command right now. He's developing more pitches, which is nice. So I think if Youngstown State does lose that first game, I wouldn't count them out. It's very tough to win 5 in a row, especially if Wright State would be the winner in the bracket and you'd have to beat them twice in one day. But the Penguins have done it before. So, you know what, I like Youngstown State's chances going into the tournament. When you look at a team like UIC, Milwaukee, or Northern Kentucky, they have a very good Friday starter in their ace. But after that, it can be questionable. You never know what you're going to get out of their 2 and 3 guys. And most of these teams in the league don't even have a 4 guy. Been traveling on the road. Northern Kentucky's been throwing different guys every 4th game. Same with Milwaukee and UIC. So I think that's where Youngstown State and Wright State have the advantage in this tournament. They have a definite 4 starting rotation that they can throw, even if they do lose the first or second game.
You know, and offensively, this team is hitting .291 as a club. More importantly, the on-base percentage as a unit, .373. These kids just get on base, and that's ultimately that leads to a lot of runs being scored. I love the fact that this team has such a high on-base percentage. The 45 home runs in 47 games played this year. They can swing the sticks. They've scored 300 runs in the 47 games. So they've scored some runs as well. This is a team that can not only beat you offensively. This is a team that can beat you pitching-wise, and they've struck out 312 kids. The pitching staff has. It's this is a solid team top to bottom, and a very real threat to get themselves into the NCAA tournament. But that first game, my goodness, that first game is so important for this team.
Yeah, and, looking top to bottom in the lineup and pitching staff, I think you would agree with me that this is one of the most complete teams that Youngstown State has had in a while. I mean, they get a couple of transfers that come in. They make a good guess on a couple guys that, like Philip Glasser, for example, the only offer he had to go is to Youngstown State, and now he's hitting .305 and his fielding percentage is almost perfect right now, and he's been named to the Brooks Wallace Award watch list. So, I mean, the Penguins have some guys that are really performing at a top level right now. I mean, you talked about Whaler. He's batting .330. I think he has a hit now in 20 out of his last, 23 games. That stat could be wrong, but I think it's something like that. And he's got, 8 homers this year. So there's some senior leadership on this team. But when you look at it from a lineup perspective, there's also some guys that are younger that are contributing, like Glasser. Graw has been fantastic this year. Leads the league in doubles with 11 and triples with 5. He's had some really raw power this season. Clutch hitter as well, as he's got 34 RBIs. And then you got a guy like Caruso, who's the veteran on the team, has been behind the plate almost every game, hit .305 as well, a breakout year for him. So they're getting guys who are young and just having some first-year experience that are playing really well, but they're also getting contributions from their veterans, and that's why I think this could be a real deadly team, just because of how much experience they have, but almost because of that motivation they have. This is a team that hasn't won the tournament yet. I mean, some of these guys have been here 3-4 years, and they've been to the tournament once or twice, but they've never been to the championship game, and they've never won that championship game. So there's a lot of motivation from this team. You could feel it being around the guys. They just love to play the game. They're loose. You know, they have fun with each other. Just a fun team to be around, and I really like the chances if they would go against Wright State. And I think Wright State, looking at this team would feel the same way. Penguins are the only team from the first month until last week that beat them in the conference, and they beat them 3 out of 4 at home. I mean, Alex Sogard, the Wright State coach, has admitted this is one of the most deadly teams that we've seen in a while to compete against in this league. So this is just a fun team. And if you haven't been following, I just say, hop on board now. It's getting towards postseason time. This is a fun team to watch. It brings a lot of excitement to the Valley. Come out to Eastwood Field for that last weekend when they play Milwaukee. It's going to be a competitive series. And the Penguins perform well at home. When you're going to show up to the ballpark at Eastwood, you're going to get a good game out of the Penguins. They've only lost 3 this season at their home field.
Yeah, absolutely. They're 16-3 at Eastwood. They've been just an absolute difference maker at home for sure. And you were talking about the kids that have done well. Jeff Whaler hitting .330 this year, 8 bombs, 35 RBIs. Local kids that Coach Bertolini picked up courtesy of all those years. Sitting in the backfields of B League baseball, whether it be Scene Park or Pemberton or some of the other places. The O'Shaughnessy brothers from Poland. Patrick is hitting .282 this year. Braden's hitting .298 this year in limited duty. Some kids from the area that have done really, really well, and just providing some depth off the bench, and man, this is top to bottom. This has been a fun team, and the last time this team went to the NCAA tournament, it's been 7 years. So none of these kids experienced the last time the Penguins went to the NCAA tournament, and this team is certainly trying to stake its claim to get back into that tournament, as the Penguins have only done it 2 times in their history.
Yeah, I think you got to credit the coaching staff, Dan Bertolini, Eric Smith, Eric Bennell, and Shane Davis, who have done a tremendous job recruiting with local talent, like you mentioned. I think that's a big emphasis on this team. You got a guy from Michigan in Caruso. You got a guy from Nevada and Connor Johnson, and then another guy to look out for, and that's not from this area, is Nick Perez. He's from New York. Other than that, those 3 are the only exception from guys that are outside of the, I'd say, 60, 70-mile radius that Youngstown State is recruited in. Half of these guys I'm looking at right now I have seen before play either Class B, play in high school around this area, or just playing general travel ball, either me growing up playing with them or playing against them. This is a very hometown team, and I think that's the reason that these kids play so well together. They've been with each other for years. They played against each other playing travel ball or at the Scene Park class, Youngstown B League. So this is a team that is just, Youngstown at its core. I mean, I think that's the best way to describe it. And it's just great to see the local talent performing at such a high level of Division I baseball. a mid-major conference in the Horizon League, and they've competed with top teams in the country. I mean, you talk about LSU, you talk about Nichols, some of the biggest teams in this country that recruit nationally and internationally, not just around the area. So it's really nice to see that these kids come from this area and perform at such a high level. And I think this community should be proud of what this program is accomplishing this year.
Richie Giuliano, the voice of the YSU baseball team, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Okay, this weekend, a non-conference weekend, as the Penguins will be traveling to Louisville. Now, they're not taking on the Louisville Cardinals, but they are taking on a team that has just become a Division I program. Tell everyone a little bit about the Penguins' opponent this weekend.
Yeah, so they're taking on Bellarmine Knights. They're, like you said, they just joined the Division I level this season, and it's really hard to make that adjustment from Division II to Division III when you have, or Division II to Division I when you have the same team. But they have really adjusted well, and this is a team that has 8 conference wins right now, and I was looking at their schedule earlier. They lost games in the early half of the season by 1 or 2 runs. So this is not a team that Youngstown State is facing that's getting knocked around left and right in their first year. They're competing against a very good conference in the A-Sun, which Liberty right now in their division is 17-1. That's a good ball club. They're top 25 in the RPI rankings right now. You got Florida Gulf Coast, who's in there, who historically has been a really good program in Division I baseball. Kennesaw State's a really good D1 baseball school. So they play in a tough conference, and I think it's really challenging for a team like Bellarmine, who's a smaller Division I school, to compete against such a big conference in a mid-major, just like the Horizon League is. But they are competing. I mean, they got 13 wins overall, which isn't the best and not what they've wanted, but they do have 8 of those 13 in the conference, and they're 8-12 on their home field. So they do play semi-decently well at their home park. So this should be a fun weekend. I think really this weekend's all about reps, getting guys in there that haven't had much playing time throughout the season. So it's all about reps. It's all about building momentum going into the conference stretch. And, hopefully they could take 3 out of 3. You play Milwaukee, take 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4. Next thing you know, you're the red-hot team going into the tournament. That's really what this is all about, so you're not sitting at home just practicing. Coach Berlin wants game reps. He wants guys who haven't been able to pitch as much to get in there and pitch, guys who haven't been able to hit as much, like we mentioned, some utility players like Andre Good and Braden O'Shaughnessy. Those guys are going to be starting a couple games down in Louisville this weekend. So it's going to be fun, and, I'm glad to make the trip down there. New City, I heard it's fantastic. I've never been down there.
Richie Giuliano joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. I mean, this has been a fun year in that Youngstown State had never won 20 league games in the Horizon League. They've accomplished that by winning 21 and counting. They have never won 26 regular season games as a Division I baseball team. They're at that mark, and by all accounts, they should be able to get to 30 in the regular season, which is going to be an absolutely great accomplishment. But I get the sense that there is an awful lot more left in this program, and I also get the sense that we have not seen the best of Youngstown State yet, which should be a really good sign for the Penguins coming into the tournament in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they really haven't played their best baseball yet, and that's the greatest thing about this team. They had a tougher weekend, even though they took 3 out of 4 against Purdue Fort Wayne. There was 2 games on Saturday where one slipped away from them in that final game, and then the other one where they were up 1-0, and they ended up scoring 3 runs, the Mastodons did, in the 8th inning. So it was a tough loss for them on that Saturday, Game 1. In Game 2, they almost lost as well, but they were able to come back and win it. So, yeah, even though they've won 3 out of 4 games in some series, they haven't played their best baseball yet. I think they know that, and I think that's the greatest thing about this team is that if you do play your best baseball at the right time, and that's all you need in the tournament, right? I mean, you could ask that 2013 team as well, who didn't perform very well in that regular season, but you get to the tournament, they played their best baseball at the right time, and next thing you know, you are headed to the college regional.
Richie, enjoy the ride. I've been saying that a couple of times, but I'm sure you've enjoyed the ride, and Lord knows you've been to some pretty cool places. It's just a damn shame that you're in Louisville 2 or 3 weeks after the Kentucky Derby. That would have been cool to experience Louisville on Derby week.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I've been, looking up the city. I just like traveling, honestly. It's cool, and I bet, talking to you, 12 years in the minor leagues, you've seen some very interesting cities, seen the vibe of probably Louisville, Kentucky. And, yeah, it's cool just looking up different geographic standpoints of certain cities and their historical landmarks. I'm like a history junkie for some reason, so I like that kind of stuff. And, yeah, it's just cool traveling with the team and, being able to visit different cities across the country in the Midwest, even going down south. And I always look forward to when they look up their schedule for the upcoming season where we're going to be going next. So it's been a fun journey here with Youngstown State, and I'm really looking forward to the tournament. But as Coach Dan Bertolini would say, you got to take care of business game by game, and I know he's not looking past the Knights this weekend.
Yeah, this will be a fun weekend when you take on a relative newcomer in D1 baseball in Bellarmine, and it'll be a test. It will be a test. They come from a very nice mid-major conference, and they have made the transition pretty nicely. So it will most definitely be a test. Enjoy the weekend. Continued success. Keep bringing home some victories for the Penguins.
All right, Ron. Thank you.
You got it, brother. Richie Giuliano, the radio voice of the YSU men's baseball program, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. We'll take a timeout and get some baseball and softball from yesterday as we are, for baseball, the final week of the regular season. For softball, games that you're going to kind of sort of play before you get into tournament mode. We'll get to those games coming up in just a bit. It is a Tuesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
This is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Ruud gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Ruud, and so should you.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air,
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point. Ron Potesta with you. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. Let's go to Champ. Champ, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on, brother?
Thanks for taking my call, Ron. Before I move on to my second topic, I got to straighten out yesterday because there's a guy that was a little upset in Warren yesterday because when he talks about the Raiders, okay, he's not talking about the Oakland or Las Vegas or Los Angeles Raiders. He's talking about the Warren G. Harding Raiders.
Indeed.
And I think he was a little upset that maybe you guys were talking about the professional football team. But when he talks about Raiders, you know who we're talking about, the Big E. He's talking about the Harding Raiders.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. It's not about the Oakland or the Las Vegas Raiders. It's about the Warren Harding Raiders because he is all about the city of Warren.
Right. Although he did relay this to me that he likes the Raiders. He doesn't hate the Raiders. He likes the Raiders because of their colors, like a lot of people, that silver and black, and he likes obviously the black and gold. But he did relay that he was. It's kind of a Raider fan down deep, I guess. A lot of us are, I guess, when we're on the deep end, I guess, in the deep end. So. But anyways, before I got a comment about Jim Campbell, because, Jim and I worked together for a long time, the ultimate professional. And it's just amazing. And I got an opportunity, as you know, I get to work with a lot of great people back in the radio days in the 90s and the 2000s. And they were just a pleasure because they're professionals, and you're one of them in my line of work. And it was a pleasure working with all you people. But Jim Campbell was, I did basketball games with him, and we actually did the last 2 times that the basketball team from this area won state titles. That was back-to-back, West Branch and Ursuline. We did both those games. And that's when I hung it up as a broadcast announcer for basketball. But it's a good way to finish, though.
Yeah.
I feel like John Elway. The last 2 games I did, but yeah, that was quite a thrill, and it's just hard to believe that's the last time we celebrated a state championship in basketball, either boys or girls.
Yeah, it's been a while, and the basketball has gotten a little better, and we're starting to make some inroads in district and regional play, and hopefully we'll continue to grow basketball wise. But it's and I hate to. to sit back and I know some people will say, well, you're glorifying the past. Well, if you lived in the 70s and early and mid 80s, high school basketball in this area was a whole lot better, and it was a whole lot better statewide. And hopefully we get to those numbers, we're definitely on the upward trend, no question about that.
Yeah, and you were part of that system, and I was too. I was spoiled. I grew up watching a Bourbon basketball team in the late 1960s and early 70s that they were tall, they were fast, they were extremely talented, and we just assumed that this is the way it was always going to be here. But at that time, I remember, because Borden was the AAA, AA. You had Wellsville, you had Poland, you had the Sebring Single A. There were some really good basketball programs back then, solid when they had the AA, AAA, and Single A. But that Bourbon team, boy, that was a special team. It's unfortunate they didn't win a state title, but boy, they were talented and they were tall, and they were a great basketball team to watch.
Yeah, they sure were. And you go into the northeast side of Youngstown, Rayen High School, and what Frank Sigletti did at Rayen with Joe James. Greg Jones. Boy, did he have some amazing talent over there.
Yeah, and Greg Jones really had a nice career locally under the 6'5" and under league, the World Basketball League. He was a tremendous, very talented player locally for the Youngstown Pride. I think it was the team.
Absolutely.
But, but he was, and that was a very interesting that period of time. But it is what it is right now. But Jim Campbell and he's retired now. I understand. I heard you mention that. Okay. Yeah. Boy, that's I guess that's a goal for all of us. But you know what? We haven't been talking about the NBA a lot, and I've been paying attention lately because there's these play-in things where they have 8 versus 9, 9 versus 10. I got to tell you, you know where I'm coming from here. I mean, how important has Steph Curry been to the NBA season this year?
He's been important. It's the Golden State is nowhere near the team that they were when they were, a few years ago when they were winning championships. But I mean, he's a difference maker. And I think a lot of people gravitate towards Steph Curry because they can relate to him, because he's not 6'8", built like a freight train, or 7 foot. He's a guy that's 6'2", 6'3", that can shoot the ball, and shoot the ball pretty well, and shoot the ball from long distance pretty well. And I think that his game, there's a lot of kids now that are trying to emulate him rather than emulate Michael or LeBron or Bird or Magic. You can't emulate someone that's 6'6", 6'7". I mean, unless you're that tall. Steph Curry, it's a little different. I think everyone can emulate an outside shot. Now, for better or for worse, kids are hoisting threes at a pretty alarming rate now in basketball.
Yes. But, one thing that after this, going through this season, I think that I've kind of changed my tune. I think that Draymond Green is more important to the success of Steph Curry than Klay Thompson is, only because of Steph's ability to move without the ball. And Draymond is one of the top assist leaders at his position. And Klay's never been a big assist guy. He's a shooter. He's just a shooter and a great defender. But Draymond, I think we realize this year that Draymond is very important to the success of Steph Curry.
Yeah, I mean, when he's not getting himself into trouble, he's actually a pretty decent player. And he doesn't play great defense, but I'll take his game. And again, I'll take his game in small amounts, because by and large, you know what you're going to get with him. You're going to get someone who's a hothead, who's going to get into trouble, who's ultimately going to do something stupid, because that's what Draymond does. Take all of that crap away, he's not a bad basketball player. Now, I still think that Klay is the best player on that team overall, because he is a supremely gifted defensive player. He's got long arms, which he'll shut down most twos in the NBA. And, oh, by the way, he's got a wicked good shot. So, to me, Klay Thompson is still the best player all around on that team. But you've got a really nice player in Steph Curry that has unlimited range. You team him up with a guy that's got nice range, not as good as Steph, but nice range. And, oh, by the way, he's a supreme defender. You get the best backcourt possibly in the history of the NBA.
Right, and that'll be interesting to see when he comes back, because he hasn't played for 2 years. He's had 2 major injuries, although he's still in pretty good shape. But, yeah, him in that lineup, and Andrew Wiggins, I think, was the piece they've been looking for, and they got him now. And he's kind of a poor version of Klay Thompson. He's a great defender. He's a pretty good shooter, runs the court, everything that Klay does. But it'll be nice to see those 4 together, including Draymond next year. But they had a piece or two, and they got Minnesota's top pick, but it's only top 3 protected. So they could end up getting the 4th or 5th pick in this draft coming up, the Warriors, and get a really nice player. And I think you'll see them be a much better team next year.
Yeah, I don't ever think Klay Thompson will be the same. Unfortunately, I have very little hope that he's going to be the same player that he was 3 or 4 years ago. I just think, in particular, this injury is going to sap a lot of his abilities, and that's a damn shame because at the height of his career, Klay Thompson was one of the best two-way two guards I've ever seen in the history of basketball. Yeah, it's a nice mix, and I always like to compare them with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, kind of similar. I mean, they had both at the point, because Dumars was obviously one of the best two-guard covers, too, in the league at the time. In fact, Michael Jordan said it gave him fits. Believe it or not, if anyone gave Michael Jordan fits, but he always mentioned Joe Dumars as one of the toughest guys that he had to go against. And similar to Klay Thompson, I mean, they're similar players. Klay's bigger. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I'm hoping that he's still young enough and still a good enough shape to come back next year. And we'll see. But that'll be the big thing to watch next year. If he comes back, at full strength, they'll be dangerous. If he doesn't, it'll be a different story. If Klay Thompson had played in Jordan's era, it would have been a lot of fun to see him go up against MJ on a nightly basis as a defensive player. Because I think Klay Thompson would have probably had the best chance of any player to not completely stop, because nobody was going to completely stop Michael, but to hold him below his average, I think Klay Thompson could have done it. Yeah. So anyways, but good to get seems like baseball's been off for a while with this weather, doesn't it? But I'm not complaining. But good to get baseball started again. And tomorrow night is one of the 10 most overhyped events, and it's always football. They're announcing the NFL. Can you imagine if hockey did something like that? Well, now we're going to announce the hockey schedule. You think anyone would really care about that? Well, I mean, the way they do this, Champ. I mean, this just shows the popularity of football. Right. I mean, look, football has marketed itself so much better than Major League Baseball. And I remember a time, and you and I grew up in the same era. I remember a time, and I've told this story on numerous times on terrestrial radio, and I think I've told this story once at YSN, but I'll tell it again. 50 years ago this fall, the Pittsburgh Pirates won the World Series championship. Game 7 was played on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of the National Football League season, and NBC was the long time television host, the television home for Major League Baseball. Consider this, 50 years ago, Game 7 was to be played in Baltimore, Maryland at the old Memorial Stadium at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon in the middle of the National Football League season. And NBC and Major League Baseball both had the stones to tell the National Football League, oh, by the way, all of your AFC games or all of your games involving the home team, which is an AFC team, they're going to be played at 4 o'clock because we are going to broadcast the World Series on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And that's the cachet that Major League Baseball had. They can't do that now. There's no possible way they'd do that. They'd get laughed out of the room because Major League Baseball, for the last 40 years, has done a piss-poor job of marketing itself, where the National Football League has marketed itself beyond belief, to the point now where tomorrow night people are going to actually lose their mind watching something that has nothing to do with playing the game. It's going to be announcing the schedules, and football fans are going to be losing their minds over this tomorrow. That is how insanely well put together the marketing is in the National Football League offices. And Major League Baseball for years has just missed the boat on marketing, and it's now become, I hate to say this, Major League Baseball is now becoming a regional sport.
Yeah, ironically, you mentioned the 71 series with the Pirates. Wasn't that the first World Series that had night games?
Yes, Game 3 in Pittsburgh was the first night game ever played in World Series history, and it was just one game. They went back to doing day games after that night game, but that was the advent of what was to come. I think the last time that we had a day game, scheduled day game, in the World Series, I want to say it was either 89 or 90 was the last year that we had a scheduled day game in the World Series.
Yeah, can you imagine back in the 70s if we told our buddies, hey, I got to go home because I'm going to watch the announcement of the NFL schedule? They'd say, well, can't you just read it the next day in the paper?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm one of the ones that sit there with a clipboard and actually start writing this stuff down. You know why? Because I want to find out when Detroit and the Raiders play at the same time, because then I'm screwed. I mean, that's how obsessed we are with football. I mean, I'm waiting for the time of these games so I could get my schedule all set for the entire fall on a Sunday afternoon.
I mean, it's amazing the flip in popularity, because I grew up in an era where Major League Baseball was head and shoulders above the National Football League. And in my lifetime, I have seen the National Football League blow right past Major League Baseball and just blew by it as quickly as possible. And I will contend, and I'll continue to say this till the day they bury me, I will continue to say the biggest mistake Major League Baseball has ever made is putting all of their World Series games on at night in a time period in which 85% of America in the Eastern and Central time zones are not able to watch every single game, every single moment, and that includes the kids. And a lot of those kids are in bed long before the seventh inning stretch. And you're talking about the future of Major League Baseball. You continue to do this, you continue to alienate each generation of baseball fans. The National Football League has done this perfectly. They'll sit back and play the Super Bowl. Now, back when we were kids, the Super Bowl was played at, 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon. Now the Super Bowl is played 6 o'clock at night, but you still have the game over by 10 o'clock. Game's over by 10:15 at the latest. And the kids on the Eastern time zone, that's okay. You can still get a good 8 hours of sleep before you have to wake up and go to school the next day. It's not that big of a deal. It's just Major League Baseball, they have blown it the last 40, 50 years marketing. Football's killed it, and now you see the remnants of it. Football is now in a position where baseball was when I was a kid, and it's heartbreaking as a baseball fan, but as a football fan, man, they've nailed it. They've absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, and that same scenario you're talking about, at 10 o'clock, the Super Bowl game is over. Meanwhile, the World Series game is about in the second inning. I mean, that's the bottom line. And if it's the Yankees playing or Boston, it's probably still in the first inning because it takes a long time for those two teams to play their game.
Exactly. It just it's a bad look all the way around for Major League Baseball, and the just the marketing ability of the National Football League has been, man, it's been incredible. And like you said, tomorrow night, there'll be a lot of people losing their minds. And for what? To find out when your team is playing? I mean, look, am I going to be losing my mind if Buffalo plays Tampa Bay in Week 1 on a Thursday night in Tampa? I'm not losing my mind, but I'll be excited for it. And there's a good chance it'll happen.
Well, I don't. My life is not that exciting. I have to buy a calendar book just to mark down all the NFL games. That's why I get a calendar book. Not that I have to go here or go there. No, I need to know what time the games are. And it's just. But you know what? Pro football got a big break too. I mean, they've got college football on Saturday, and those guys that are playing on Saturday, most of the great ones are playing on Sunday. They have a perfect minor league system set up, and they have high school football on Friday night. I mean, baseball doesn't have that. They don't have that popularity of a feeder system, and they're trying to get rid of the minor leagues as it is, too.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's built in now that in a world where we're conditioned to get everything right away, has to be quick, snappy, Major League Baseball, it's a slow-paced game, number one. And number two, it's not – forget about the game itself. Getting to the major leagues is slow-paced as well because, you know, you don't go from high school to the big leagues. You don't go from college to the big leagues. You got to have some time in the minor leagues, and that time is anywhere from 2 to 4 years before you get into the major leagues. So, you know, when you watch a college football game, you know that the best of the best of the best that are draft eligible, you'll see those guys next year playing in the National Football League. One of the reasons why college baseball isn't very popular in comparison to college football, you're not going to see those kids next year. You might see them 2 years down the road, pretty good chance you'll see them 3 years down the road, but you're not going to see them next year. I mean, you might see 1 or 2 of those kids, but you won't see a lot of them next year. It's going to be 2, 3, sometimes 4 years down the road.
Yeah, it's like going to BYU. You go on a mission for 3 or 4 years before you can play professionally.
Yeah, and
a lot of the minor leaguers.
And how many of those people are going to remember saying, "Oh, yeah, I saw this kid play"? Well, how long ago was that when I saw him play? I mean, one of the reasons why I think the draft league has a really good chance of working out is it's going to be an extension of the college baseball season. So if you are a fan of college baseball and you saw a couple of the kids play college baseball, some of those kids, not all of them, but some of those kids are going to move into the draft league and try to improve their draft stock. Now you're looking at these kids going, hey, we saw this kid play in college ball. Now he's going to be playing in the draft league. Okay, this is an extension of the college baseball season, or if some of the high school kids are fortunate enough to get into this league, oh, hey, this is an opportunity for us to see this kid. Now, granted, you're still going to have to wait 2, 3, 4 years before they get to the show, if they get to the show, but at least it's kind of a continuation.
Yeah, and what you're seeing because of that, of the weight, and also another thing, because I was reading where a lot of the African-American quarterbacks in the NFL right now were great baseball players, but they played football because the opportunities to play the position of quarterback are much greater than they've been in the past. You take guys like Mahomes and Kyler Murray, and these guys were all really good. They could have played baseball professionally, a lot of them, but since the opportunities to be paid professionally quicker and the opportunities at quarterback, now you're seeing a lot of them that are not playing baseball that are playing in the NFL because of the money. It's quicker, and they get to play quarterback.
Agreed. And you're not going to be going into the minor leagues and trying to earn your way into the major leagues. Not that you're not earning your way in football, but I mean, let's be honest, champ. Football doesn't have a minor league system. If it does, it's college football.
It doesn't need one, really. It's got the only one it needs. Really,
exactly. And again, you're not toiling in minor league baseball. So these kids, they're instant gratification kids. They're like, give me my money. I get fame right now. I'll take it. Very few kids are going to look at this. If you're blessed to have an opportunity to play football or baseball on the highest level, I would venture to say most of those kids are going to want to play football because it's instant gratification. You will rarely see a kid go straight from college to the pros or straight from high school to the pros or to the major leagues. You're a professional when you sign a deal. But let me just reiterate, very rarely will you see a kid go from college baseball to the major leagues or high school baseball to the major leagues.
I think Al Kaline did it.
He did, and I think Dave Winfield did it, where he didn't have any minor league time. Bob
Right.
Horner
Bob
went
Horner,
from
yep.
ASU
Yep.
straight to the Atlanta Braves. But there are very few guys that went straight to the pros without any minor league experience. And you know, when you consider that we're in a world today where the trend is it's instant gratification,
Right.
everyone's going to go toward that.
Yeah, you're right, and that's exactly what's going on. But you know what? We'll see what happens. But baseball's got to watch it. But but football, like a lot of things, overexposure can hurt the NFL. I think them playing too many Thursdays games, and I think that doesn't help the NFL. I think they got to watch. Overexposure can really hurt a sport because we don't want to see the ugly part of the sport. And sometimes these Thursday night games, you wonder why they're playing them.
Well, listen, the Thursday night games are a money grab. I mean, there's nothing more than that. I mean, look. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard people in front offices sit back and say, the longer you play in this game, the longer the recovery is. Where guys that have been playing this game 8, 9, 10 years, you got to wait till Friday before they're completely recovered from the Sunday game. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if you're playing on a Thursday, you're not completely recovered from that Sunday game yet, but you're going to go out and you're going to play the game on Thursday. Now, the argument everyone is going to use is, well, yeah, but you got the 10 days off. I don't give a crap about that. You're playing a game in which your veterans are not ready to play the game health-wise. All Thursday night football is a money grab. It's a terrible product. Football on Thursday night's a terrible product, mainly because the veterans aren't equipped to play the game from a health standpoint, and it's a terrible product. I would just keep it at Sunday, keep it on Monday, and the only Thursday anyone should be playing is Thanksgiving because that's a traditional thing.
Right, and you just leave Detroit alone. They need that. That's their victory right there.
Yeah,
you
pretty
take
much.
Thanksgiving away, that's like taking away my food, okay? Don't mess with Detroit, man. That's our day. We have one day out of the year. Can you let us have one day?
Yeah.
I mean, you take the Lions off, that's cruelty. All through the NFL. Okay, anyway.
In some places, we love our drumsticks. Champ Summers doesn't want turkey. He wants Lions football on Thanksgiving.
Well, aren't they kind of a turkey in a way?
Well, this is true. This is true.
All right, I wanted to end this on a positive note, but when you're talking about my football team, this one playoff game in my lifetime, it really hurts. So, anyways, that's
well, I mean, you grew up in the wrong era because in the 50s they were incredible, and they beat the Browns.
The Raiders didn't exist in the 50s, so maybe I better stay where I'm at.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Although if you catch up with McFly, maybe he can give you the keys to the car, and you can go back into the 50s and watch the Lions win not Super Bowls, NFL championships, and who knows, maybe you can earn an awful lot of money by going to rather seedy places and putting wagers on games that you already know the outcome of.
Yeah, it's pretty sad when your most famous player is George Plimpton. It's pretty sad, but that's the Lions for you.
or the guy that punched out the horse on Blazing Saddles. You got to love Alex Karras.
Yes, right. And he got suspended 1 year for gambling.
Yeah, this is true.
He obviously wasn't betting on the Lions. So I guarantee you that.
This is true.
Okay. All right, Ron. I think I said my piece. Good luck to the tribe.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I
see you, champ. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. All right, let's run down some scores from yesterday and final week of the regular season for baseball before we get into the tournaments. And Anthony and I broke down all the tournaments yesterday. We'll continue to do that during the course of the week. Niles shut out Girard yesterday 3-0. Zach Leonard 10 punch outs, 2 walks in the shutout win for the Red Dragons in an NE8 game. West Branch shut out Carrollton. Martin getting 4 strikeouts, 0 walks. West Branch just continuing to win. Tell you what, they're playing some good baseball. That is a team that's going to be heard from in Division II. I had the opportunity to be a base umpire up at Eastwood for this one. Western Reserve knocked off Mineral Ridge 8-4. Western Reserve can hit the ball. They can definitely hit the ball. Their fielding was questionable yesterday. They committed 4 errors, but they got some kids. Western Reserve. This is a team that not too long ago made 2 trips to Columbus. They were eliminated both years by Newark Catholic, which is a premier Division IV program. But this is a team that not too long ago they had some success and wound up going to Columbus at the time. It's not out of the realm of possibility for this team to make a deep run in this year's tournament. They're now 11-6 on the campaign. Brendan Mikos punched out 9, walked 2, threw a 1-hitter. South Range is now 15-7 on the campaign as they blanked Jefferson 10-0. Lakeview winner over Struthers. That took 9 innings. Lakeview scored 5 times in the top half of inning number 9 to get the victory over Struthers. And Columbiana, in 8 innings, they defeated United, walked them off in the bottom of the 8th inning, 3-2 your final score there. Newton Falls a winner over Crestview, 7-2. Let's go to Tony. Tony, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on, brother?
Dick Night Train Lane, by the way.
Yeah, there's another good lion. Lem Barney's another one.
Definitely not the most famous, maybe the most famous of that era. The greatest running back, I'll argue, the greatest running back, Barry Sanders.
He was solid, no question. He and Walter Payton. I mean, they're going to be second tier behind Jim Brown, but these two guys, I can throw in Emmitt Smith, throw in Eric Dickerson, OJ.
Not Emmitt Smith. He had duration that Jim Brown and Barry Sanders didn't take advantage of, and the guy who played for Buffalo 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Emmett had a great offensive line, and he also had a Hall of Fame quarterback, and oh, by the way, a Hall of Fame receiver, and he certainly had an awful lot of talent behind or around him, where Sanders didn't, Payton didn't, at least offensively he didn't. Dickerson didn't. OJ sure as hell didn't. It was.
We can agree that Barry Sanders probably is the all-time leader in broken ankles, I would assume, right?
He was. If he isn't, he's up there. He's definitely up there for sure.
Hey, I'm going to keep you out of trouble. Now, I don't know where your listeners come from and such, but I don't want anybody calling and yelling at you from South Range. They're the Raiders too, right?
Yes.
Okay, just want to get that out of the way, make sure.
Yeah.
Everybody. Okay. Hey, yeah. One of the things about the NFL, and I'm really excited about this, this upcoming season. You're correct. They do things well, but one of the things that happened, and you triggered my memory when you were talking about the NFL and them doing things right. They went back to Cody Ford's crackback block that we all at the time thought was ridiculous. Remember, and then it put them out of field goal position.
Yeah, in the
playoffs against Texas.
Yeah, in the wild card game in which the Bills wound up losing.
Yeah, but a year later, 1 year after that, they come back and give clarification on that ruling to say that really shouldn't have been a crackback block.
Yeah. I mean,
You saw that. You saw that.
I have. Yeah, I have. And I mean, it doesn't change the outcome of the game, but it certainly, your honesty of, hey, we screwed up and it should have never been called. It's duly noted, but it didn't change anything. It was still called. It was still denying the Bills an opportunity to possibly win the game with a field goal that was no longer in play. But I like the fact that the league did, that they put the blame on themselves, which they're not afraid to do that. They've been able to do that.
I think it's real positive. I know Anthony's not here right now. But do you think next winter when they do these reviews of a year prior playoffs. Do you think they're going to get a clarification on what a cornerback holding a receiver?
Probably not.
Clarify that?
Yeah, probably not. That's probably not. Probably
that was
not.
a long way to go to get a dig in on a guy who's not even there.
Hey, listen, I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward to this season. Obviously, it's going to. It has an opportunity to be very special, but it's this is a different year, and people have to understand. Hey, this is a different year. You hope and pray that everyone is healthy. All the teams, you hope and pray they're healthy, and you just let the season play out, and let's see what happens.
We haven't talked since the Bills drafted. I love their draft pick.
I thought that. I thought that they did something that a lot of the experts kind of chided them on, but I kind of loved the idea of picking two kids that are uber talented, but also have a chance to be completely useless in the National Football League. They have that boom or bust type of gamble to them, and they doubled up on
kind of like Josh Allen, right?
Yeah, and they doubled up on the one main weakness of the team, and I love the fact that that Bean did that. And then I found out that they were not going to double up on this; they were going to trade out of their second round pick until they realized that Basham was still on the board.
Right. Yeah, and he was projected in a lot of boards to be a first round pick.
Oh yeah, and I still to this day.
You
now,
like him, right?
I love this kid. I actually love both of these kids, but I also see and I also understand that there is a bust effort, or not effort. There's a bust quality, for lack of a better word, in these two kids. I could see both of them being complete busts in the National Football League, but I can also see, especially in Russo's case, in 2019, I don't think people remembered that the year Chase Young had at Ohio State, Gregory Rousseau had as good a year at the U as Chase Young did in terms of sacks and tackles for losses. He had an unbelievable year. The difference was Rousseau wasn't available for the draft. And this was his first year, and as it turns out, his only year playing college football. But in 2019, his numbers were every bit as good as Chase Young's.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned Chase Young, this kid out of Miami of Ohio apparently went toe-to-toe with Chase Young and performed pretty well.
Yeah. It's, I like the draft, what Buffalo did. I liked I wish they would have gotten a corner a little bit higher, but by and large, I really like what they did. And, again, I have...
draft the tallest guys you could find?
Well, I think that
6'8", 6'7" tackles.
Yeah, I think they did well. I think they did well for themselves.
6.5 defensive end. That's pretty darn tall.
Yeah, I think they did well for themselves, and I still have the same, the same expectation this year. If they're healthy, I'm hoping for an AFC Championship berth at the very least, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, I do want to talk about high school baseball playoffs real quick, but I wanted to make a comment on Jim Campbell. I heard you talking to him, and one of the things I used to listen to was morning talk radio, but it's gotten to be such a shock jock situation.
Yeah.
But I want to compliment two people, and one of them's you, and one of them's Jim Campbell, and both you guys had a sports background, and I want to compliment both you guys because you guys came. And the debate and discussions needed to be based around fact. Sports is about facts. It really is. We can argue opinions, but in the end, you line up and you play, and the facts play out, right?
Yeah.
But you guys both, when you guys filled in, you didn't bring a shock jock approach. You brought a calm demeanor and a very reasoned discussion to that venue. It was great. I enjoyed when both you guys filled in.
Yeah, it was an awful lot of fun in the last few years when when Jim and I were working terrestrial radio, and we were doing some things that, boy, you talk about being outside of your comfort zone, because we're both with sports backgrounds, but we had an opportunity to fill in for news talk show hosts, and it was a different experience for sure.
I mean, you guys both did a great job, but that's my one compliment of you this year, by the way.
Only one. That's okay. I'm good with that. That's and there's there's places where I don't get any compliments, so that's good. I mean, at home I don't get any, so it's good. I'll look to you for my one compliment, and I'll hang on to that for as long as I can.
Okay. Hey, high school baseball. I saw the brackets, and I something jumped out at me that I found kind of interesting. The dates and such. It looks like the first week of. They'll play 2 games, like Tuesday, a Thursday, or a Monday and a Wednesday or something, correct?
Yep.
And then they'll go to the semifinals, district semifinals games, right? The following week?
Yes.
Okay. The thing that I found interesting is the top teams, and I guess it's probably 4 top teams in each bracket, get a bye that first game. And one other thing in high school is this pitch count deal. You get a bye the first week. You can pitch your ace in that second game of the week. They can make it all the way to the district finals with one ace pitcher.
Yeah, because he can pitch the sectional title game, and then 5 days later, which is a normal rest for a minor or major league pitcher. And it exceeds the 3 days rest if you throw a certain amount of pitches in high school.
125.
Yeah. So you can use that pitcher in the sectional finals, and then come back and use that pitcher again in the district semifinals. It's a fantastic.
Yeah, you can get all the way to the district finals with one good pitcher.
Yeah, exactly.
But you still have to have been in the top 4 seedings in each bracket. So I mean, you had to have been a decent team and had a pretty reasonable staff, as it was.
Or if you were a team in a tournament in which the bracket was odd, if you're one of the lucky teams that gets a first round bye into the sectional championship game, and Alliance is a great example because they have arguably the best pitcher in this area in Gavin Bruni, who's going to be drafted this year. So now Gavin Bruni can pitch in the sectional championship game for Alliance, and if they beat Willoughby South, then they can go up against the top-seeded team in the tournament in the district semifinals, and he can pitch in that game. Conceivably, Alliance could go to the district championship game behind the arm of a guy that's probably going to be drafted in the first or second round in this year's Major League Baseball draft in Gavin Bruni.
Yeah, that's great. And in no way I'm claiming this is not fair. You had a chance to get seated in the top 4 throughout the season, and you didn't, the rest of the team. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But and the pitch count is pretty liberal in high school. I was surprised how liberal it was.
Extremely liberal.
You can pitch 75 pitches, which is a pretty good pitch count for a young kid and a young arm, and only have to sit 2 days.
Yeah, it's extremely liberal. We've made mention of this. The maximum pitch count of 125 is embarrassing. It shouldn't be 125.
Especially when you consider they can come back on 3 days rest.
Yeah, it should be at 105, or at 110, something like that. At 125, that's way too much. And then to sit back and say, oh, well, you get 3 days rest. Come on, major leaguers don't even do that.
Yeah,
it's unrealistic.
And 50 pitches for only 1 day rest.
Yeah, that's tough. But 50 pitches, 1 day rest. It's not. I mean, I personally would like to do 2 days rest with that. But if you don't have a lot of pitchers on your team, that's where things can go a little sideways.
Yeah, but that's where you may find some guys gambling on their ace if they have a decent number 2 to come in the first game. A game where they're hopefully playing 2 days later with their ace and go 50 pitches and pull them and hope you can hold to whatever lead you got.
Boy, no
it's a gamble,
kidding.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's. I'll be curious to see how many teams take that gamble next week when we start the tournaments. Especially if you're a higher seed team that did not take the bye and you're going to play the first game, whether it's Monday or Tuesday. If you chose to play that game, I'll be curious to see how many teams take that gamble, and if the moment is right where they jump out to a huge lead, you yank your ace out of the game and get him an opportunity to pitch on Wednesday or Thursday with 1 day rest. Hey, Tony, I got to get scooting here.
Hey, have a great show. Have a good day.
I appreciate it, sir. 330-886-0813. We'll take a timeout. On the other side, Dan Bertolini, manager of the YSU baseball team, joins us. That is going to be coming up in just a mere moments. Brian Tolnar is tomorrow, by the way. I guess we previewed him there. We're back in a bit. Stick around.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Ruud gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy-efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Ruud, and so should you.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
"60 years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love."
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes!
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. And joining me, albeit a little late, but that's okay, because they're busy doing some stuff with the baseball team, getting ready for a non-conference opponent this week. Joining me as he does every Tuesday about this time, the skipper of the Youngstown State University baseball team, Dan Bertolini. Coach Bertolini joining me on the MPV Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Skip, what's going on?
Oh, just got done with a little bunt drill and some defensive work here at Eastwood. So good day.
Penguins off in terms of Horizon League this weekend, but you're not off. You're going to be playing a 4-game series in Louisville against a relatively new Division I baseball program in Bellarmine. Can we talk a little bit about this team?
Yeah, they're new, making the transition to Division I. They've been a very good Division II team for a long time, and the Athletics is making that jump, so we're excited to get a chance to go down. And, it's always good to give yourself some tests and play road games, and it'll be good for us to get out. They play in a good conference, and should be some exciting baseball this weekend.
Yeah, it's a nice brand of mid-major baseball, much like the Horizon League, the league that this team is in, very comparable to the Horizon League.
Yeah, absolutely. They've had, I think Northern Kentucky actually was in this league before joining the Horizon League. So, it's a solid league top to bottom, and we're looking forward to playing some good competition, getting us ready for our last Horizon League weekend, and then hopefully the Horizon League tournament.
Skip, as we're now down to 8 regular season games left, is this a good gauge in terms of getting this team to play its best baseball from this point forward, getting ready for the tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good weekend for us to get healthy, to get some guys some work, to continue to compete, and really try to clean some things up that we've done, and just get better and better. This is the best time of year for us. We're done with school, so we can really focus on the baseball aspect of things, and try to play our best baseball moving into the tournament.
Now that the school is out for the university, the kids are no longer in school. Is it an opportunity for these kids to now go all baseball all the time, and how big of a difference is it going to be in your experience of being the manager of this program? How big of a difference do you see in the kids once college the college academic year is finished? How big of a difference is that?
Yeah, I think it's a significant difference. I think sometimes it provides a little bit of a challenge, just because you don't have that structure of everyday, routine of class, and your day is pretty much filled from top to bottom. Now you have a lot more freedom and a lot more free time. It allows us to get some extra work in for the guys to really focus on some things that they need to get better at. We can spend a little more time at the field. We don't have to rush around. We can adjust our lifting schedules and practice schedules around. So there is some definite advantages, but it is tough for some guys. Just you lose that structure a little bit of your everyday life, and you got a lot more freedom.
What is the NCAA's word on extended practices once the academic school year is over with?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a there's no mandatory off days once school's out, and but at this point we're not trying to kill our guys either. We have to, it's been a long year, and you play 4 games on a weekend, and you get some bumps and bruises throughout the week. So a lot of the early part of the week is just kind of getting back into the rhythm and making sure guys are healthy and trying to stay as fresh as you can as you get towards the end of the season. So we don't go probably longer than 2.5 hours most of the time for any of our practices.
Is this a weekend in which a lot more kids will play in comparison to a normal Horizon League weekend?
No. Every game's important. We're trying to continue to improve our record and get our guys that are going to help us ready to continue to stay sharp and be ready to go. I do think that there's hopefully some more opportunities for some of those guys, but we're only playing a 3-game series this weekend, so it does provide a little less opportunity when you only have 27 innings instead of whatever we're playing 34 innings typically on a weekend. So, but hopefully we'll be able to get especially some of our bullpen guys, the guys that we're going to rely on down the stretch, some guys that maybe haven't had as many opportunities, get a little bit more work this weekend.
Which of your starting pitchers doesn't get the start this weekend, Coach?
It will be Nick Perez will be coming out of the bullpen for us this week.
Yeah, and Colin Clark, and we made mention of him last weekend or last week from the weekend prior. The Colin Clark that we saw then, and Colin Clark pitched pretty decently over the weekend as well. You continue to get that Colin Clark. Now all of a sudden the Penguins really have some opportunities with the length of your rotation where you can actually make a deep run with the rotation that you have if everyone is on their A game.
Yeah, absolutely. We know the type of pitcher that Clark is, and just like a hitter, if a hitter's struggling throughout the season but has a track record of being really good, at some point they're not going to perform like that the entire way. And so we knew there were some great performances in Clark, and he's thrown some good games throughout the year. Just hasn't been as consistent as he would want. He threw the ball well. I think he got two earned over 6 innings against IPFW, and he was able to really. They scored on a weird play. Even Floyd had a couple weird runs that scored against them. So I thought overall, though, he threw the ball really well and gave us a great opportunity to win.
Purdue Fort Wayne, I tip my hat to them. They brought it over the weekend. They did not make things easy for Youngstown State at all. This is a team that could have very easily hung it up. Coming in, they were in last place, and but boy, oh boy, did they bring it, and they tested YSU all weekend long.
Yeah, and they really did like sort of they kind of pitched in reverse. They pitched their number 1 and 2 in games 3 and 4. And they have 2 good left-handed arms that can really give a lot of people trouble, especially when they're in the strike zone. And Miller threw a really, really good game against us. He has a tight breaking ball from the left side. He's 87-90. He can definitely pitch. And we had a 1-0 lead going into the 9th or going into the 7th, and in the last inning of that game, and unfortunately weren't able to come out on top. And then, even in game 2 of the Saturday doubleheader, we had to fight and really showed kind of what we were made out of. We were down 2 in the going into the bottom of the 6th and scored 4 in the 6th to come back. And those 7-inning games are tough. Just they come on you fast, and it tends to help the team with lesser pitching. And just because you get those extra 2 innings, those last 6 to 8 outs are really hard to get. A lot of times, and it is tough in a 7-inning game. You just don't get those last 2 at bats. So, I tip my cap. I told Doug that I thought their guys that they didn't play quite as well on Friday, but I thought they, you can pitch, it makes you play a lot better. And I thought they limited their errors, put a couple baseballs, a couple barrels of baseballs, and and they battled. And we've been in that situation before. We've been on the reverse side of it where we haven't had a great season, but find ways to scratch and claw and win games late in the season. So every game's tough to win in the Horizon League.
This weekend in the Horizon League, Milwaukee will play Northern Kentucky. Fourth place is on the line. Watching these two teams beat each other up potentially. Youngstown State's going to be playing in the tournament. I don't think there's any question about that. But Milwaukee and Northern Kentucky battling it out for fourth place. Coach, you've seen both of these teams. Not that anyone has a leg up on Wright State between these two teams, but which team in your mind gives Wright State a bigger threat in a one-game scenario?
Boy, that's tough. Milwaukee, both of them do some really good things. They both have a left-handed starting pitching that can give anyone trouble, especially a team that's got a lot of left-handed hitters like Wright State. So, and Milwaukee took one from Wright State this weekend at Wright State. So, that tells you that they're very capable of being able to do it. I think Northern Kentucky they're really solid offensively. They have some definite threats. When they get hot, they're tough, and they have two good left-handed pitchers in Ben Girl and Noah Richardson that can really give people trouble. So, I think whoever that may be, and we still have games against Milwaukee to play. I think we've clinched at least a playoff spot, and I think it's a game or two away from clinching third. But yeah, I mean, really, like I said, anyone. All you have to do is get hot in the tournament, and anyone can win the thing. So, it's really going to come down to how the starting pitching performs for all the teams.
Youngstown State right now in third place in the Horizon League with an opportunity. I mean, I guess it would depend on what Purdue-Fort Wayne does this weekend against UIC. They'll play 4 games in Fort Wayne, Indiana. If Purdue-Fort Wayne were to split the series against UIC, Northern Kentucky plays UIC to end the season, and depending on what they do against Milwaukee, those 4 games could very well be determining who gets the 4th place in the Horizon League. So, Youngstown State, it's right now solidly in 3rd place with an opportunity, maybe a little bit of good fortune. Maybe Purdue-Fort Wayne does a solid job against UIC. An opportunity is there for the Penguins to finish in 2nd.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a little bit wild finish. It's kind of nice that we have a week off in the Horizon League, and we'll just have to see what happens here down the stretch. But regardless of whatever happens, it's all going to be about us and how we're playing. Really when we get into the tournament, how healthy every team is, how healthy we are, and just trying to get there and play really good baseball. That last week of May.
Richie Giuliano and I were talking a little bit during earlier today, and the scenarios that could come up and come tournament time, and obviously in a double elimination tournament, it's all about matchups. And you brought up an interesting point. Wright State has a tough time against solid left-handed pitching because they have a left-handed oriented lineup, and given the fact that Youngstown State would not play Wright State right now in their current situation unless they were to meet each other in the second round, which one game into the tournament, YSU would have to beat UIC, Wright State knocking off the 4 seed, where Youngstown State and Wright State would play in the winner's bracket. And maybe it's too early to ask this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Knowing that Wright State does have a little bit of problems against solid left-handed pitching, is there a possibility that Colin Floyd gets held back to Game 2 in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we're going to determine here in the next couple of weeks. I think if Colin Clark can continue to throw the ball well, I don't see any reason why he couldn't throw Game 1 of the tournament for us. He threw a really good game against UIC in his last outing, 8 scoreless innings. So, There's definitely a possibility. He's been, one of our best guys for a long time. And, regardless of who it is, either one, Colin Clark or Colin Floyd, they both have beaten Wright State this year. So regardless of who it is, we can, I'm sure we'll throw a quality starter out there. And John Snyder as well. John might be our hottest pitcher over the last 3 weeks. I think he threw another great game against IPFW this week after throwing a really good game against UIC, and hopefully he'll have 2 more really quality starts for us this year. So we feel good with any of our guys going against anybody at this point.
Skip, I was noticing John Snyder very quietly has put together a season in which, and correct me if I'm wrong, as of right now he has a sub-3 earned run average, which is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, he's he's electric. I mean, his stuff is electric. He had some control issues earlier in the season, which when you do that and give up a double, run score, he's really limited his walks. I think he had 3 walks in his last outing. High strikeout guy, going to strike a ton of guys out. Doesn't give up a lot of hits, so he's had. We've always known that it's in there. He's had great stuff for us since he's been here as a freshman. And just happy for him that he's really starting to put it together, and I think he thrives off of the competition with the rest of the pitching staff. So he's a high energy guy, provides a lot of energy for our group, and he's having a fantastic year.
Skip, is he an ace in the making once we put the bow on the 2021 campaign and look forward to 2022? Is he one of those guys that could very well be an ace in your rotation?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got number one stuff, and if he continues to make strides like he has, and makes another really another jump into next year, I don't see any reason why he couldn't be.
One of the things that has impressed me an awful lot, not just the pitching, but one of the things that's impressed me an awful lot, this is a team that is hitting .291 as a club and has an on-base percentage over .370. My goodness, those are some great numbers.
Yeah, the offense, like we talked earlier, really after the Wright State series at Wright State, we made some adjustments, and I think our guys, bought in. And it was tough early on. We played in some tough environments, and it was cold. And I think as the weather heated up a little bit, our guys started getting going. Blaze Glenn has been, incredible the last couple of weeks. Don Bucko's had an unbelievable turnaround from where he was from the beginning of the season till now. Jeff Whaler's been really hot. So, we've just been getting quality at bats out of everybody top to bottom in our lineup, and when they're going and they're focused, and we do a good job of, we don't strike out a lot. I think somewhere in the 4 to 5 strikeouts per game, which is pretty remarkable in this current environment with a lot of strikeouts. I think we present a lot of problems and some tough outs for teams.
There's something to be said in an era where in Major League Baseball, strikeouts are through the roof. It's really cool to see a team that is constantly putting pressure on the opposition's defense. And, I grew up in an era where striking out was just a terrible thing all the way around because, A, you didn't get an opportunity if there's a guy on base to move him over, and B, you didn't give an opportunity to get yourself a slight chance to get on base by testing the defense and making contact. And it's really good to see this team consistently making contact, putting all the onus on the opposition to field that ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at our strikeouts, I bet a good percentage of them are looking. And you go back and watch some of the films, and we watch some of the pitches that we take, and we've gotten some tough strike 3 calls on us, which, there's really not a whole lot of things you can do about it. If you get a pitch, our guys are disciplined in the zone. They really don't chase a lot of pitches outside the strike zone. And, so we've worked hard in the last few weeks of trying to, with 2 strikes, being able to expand that zone a little bit and, be able to hit that pitch 3-4 inches off the plate because, there are times where it gets called. So we have to be able to defend against that. And football is in play because strikeouts don't help us. So, that's been a main focus over the last, probably month of the season.
And lost in the game of baseball for a lot of people in the, you have to homer or you haven't succeeded. Lost in all of that is, hey, if I can get a 9, 10, or 11 pitch at bat, I've done my job. Whether I commit an out or not, I've done my job because I have put that much more pitches or pitch count on this guy to where he's that much closer to being taken out of the game in today's game in which pitch count is so incredibly important.
Yeah, like a lot of times, and then especially in a 4-game series, if you can get into the bullpen in games 1 or 2, it really puts a lot of pressure on the other teams to be able to, be able to pitch, and they have to be able to throw strikes. And so if you can take some pitches and work some counts, you have to borderline we want to be aggressive in the strike zone, but we really got to stay disciplined on balls outside the zone and not chasing and giving, early weak contact outs. And, that's how you can win or sustain winning over a long period of time in the season, especially in a 3 or 4 game series. You really have to stay disciplined and not chase pitches outside the strike zone and give the pitchers an inch, because hitting is very tough, and when you swing at pitches out of the zone, it makes it incredibly that much harder. So, that's really our main focus is getting a pitch that we can do damage with. And if it's first pitch or if it's the 10th pitch, hopefully it's in the strike zone and we can make good contact with it.
And this is the recipe for a team that could go very far in the tournament, because when you're in a tournament game and everything is ratcheted up pressure-wise, this is the caliber of baseball that you want to play. You want to be able to extend your at-bats, foul pitches off, drive that opposing pitcher nuts to where he makes the mistake of throwing a meatball down Broadway, where you can get some good metal on the ball. God, I hate using that word instead of good wood on the ball, but neither here nor there. It's the perfect way to play tournament caliber baseball, and I think that's one of the many reasons why I absolutely love this team in a double elimination tournament.
Yeah, I think the recipe for success is pretty similar, in a 1-game playoff or a season. Is you want to pitch at a high level, you want to play defense at a high level, and you got to have some grinded out at bats and some timely hitting, and it's going to be the team that's going to be able to do that the best. I'm very pleased with the way that our guys have played defense. I think we play, tremendous defense. I think we're right around 970 fielding percentage of the team, which on natural surface and I think is one of the best in the Horizon League. So we have good starting pitching. We've had some guys really step up in the bullpen, and it could be a good recipe for solid baseball.
All right, let's take us through the weekend series in Louisville against Mallerman. What is the schedule look like? Are we looking at 3 9-inning games, or are we going to have a doubleheader?
Yeah, we're going to play 3 9-innings. One as of right now, depending on weather. But we're going to play 1 Friday, 1 Saturday, 1 Sunday, 9, 9, and 9, and really try to continue to get better. This is a big week of practice for us. We can get out on the field and really, get some work in that we need and get ready to go compete.
Before we let you go, a couple of things. Blaze Glenn named the Horizon League Co-Batter of the Week. He hit .786, slugged .929 with 11 hits, 2 doubles, and 14 at-bats in the 4-game series against Purdue Fort Wayne. 11 for 14. Yeah, that should pretty much get you Horizon League Hitter of the Week. That 11 for 14 is insanely hot.
Yeah, I don't know what the other guy did to get Co. But must have been pretty impressive, because I think he was 11-14, got walked twice, got hit by a pitch, so he was on base at about an 87% clip. So I guess if there's somebody else that did just something just as impressive, it's good for them. But it was it was very quiet too. Some other guys had some big things going around. Turner Graw had a couple home runs. Don Bucko had a home run. There were some big hits throughout the game, but Blaze was just so consistent. Every pitch that was in the strike zone, he barreled. Even his outs were some loud outs. I think he lined out once, a deep fly ball. So he was on it all weekend, and that's the kind of, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So we need him to finish strong like that all the way through the rest of the season. He gives us a great opportunity to win every time he's in the lineup.
And over the weekend, while you guys were playing the Mastodons of Purdue-Fort Wayne, 9 members of your team graduated from Youngstown State University. It's a great class, 9 kids that are currently playing baseball that have graduated from Youngstown State University. It has to be fulfilling as a head coach, or in your case, a manager, to see these young men graduate with a degree in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. It means so much to our program, to the university. To me, that these guys, they put the time and the effort in, and all the hard work that they've done throughout their career. Some of them here for 6 years. We're able to. I think 3 of our guys graduated with their master's degree this weekend. So, it just says a lot about the character of these players, and how much those are the types of players we want. Where academics, I think, is a microcosm of your athletic ability. People that are willing to sacrifice and take care of their business in the classroom will be able to sacrifice and take care of business on the playing field. And those guys are the epitome of what a student athlete should be. And, great representatives of our program. I know whether it's in professional baseball or professional career, they're going to go on and do great things and represent Youngstown State in a positive way.
Dan, continued success. Have a great trip in Louisville this weekend as you take on a relative newcomer in D1 baseball in Ballerman. And next weekend, the final 4 regular season games, a conference affair against Milwaukee. And hopefully we'll be talking about a 3-game sweep of the Ballerman team this weekend.
That sounds like a plan.
All right. Always a pleasure, Skip.
All right. Thanks for having me, Ron.
Yep. Dan Bernardini, the manager of the YSU Baseball Penguins. We will take a timeout. On the other side, your phone calls on this Tuesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well-appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
If you're looking for a new Ford vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of new Ford models. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your new Ford. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their new Ford at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focused, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit WRSWealthAdvisors.com. Good luck, athletes!
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. All right, we have not talked much softball. Let's get to the scores yesterday. Some really, really good non-conference affair at Canfield yesterday. Canfield knocking off Champion 7-5. Canfield moves their record to 13-6. Meanwhile, Champion falls to 14-7. Two programs that I believe have some a lengthy tournament run in them in Division 2 and 3, respectively. Ursuline with a 4-1 victory over Gilmore Academy. Ursuline had suffered their first loss of the campaign over the weekend to Louisville. And Ursuline back on the winning column as they get a 4-1 victory over a really good Gilmore Academy team. Gilmore Academy now 11-2. Ursuline moves their record to 20 wins and 1 loss. NE8 action yesterday. South Range shutting out Jefferson. Bree Kohler 5 punch-outs in the 6-0 victory over Jefferson. In the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference, Scarlet Tier, Springfield doubling up Jackson Milton 4-2. We mentioned the sectional first-round tournament game in Leetonia, won by Bloomfield. They scored runs in all but one inning as they beat the Bears 11-6. But I will continue to say this. Bravo. Job well done by first-year coach Missy Brock, considering the 2019 Bears went 1-20 this year. Not as many regular season games, but they went 8-9 in the regular season. So they went from 1 to 8 wins. That's a pretty good jump. Now, they do have some kids that they're going to have to replace, 4 of them in all. But hopefully this is the sign of good things to come for the Bears. Bloomfield improves to 7-8, and they are in the sectional bracket final where they will face Badger. By the way, this Bloomfield team gets their first victory in tournament play in program history. That is a great moment for Bloomfield. First time ever that they win a tournament game in the history of the program. So congratulations to Bloomfield. For the first time ever, they'll go to a sectional title game. Or at least for the first time ever, they'll go to another round of play. Normally it was one and done for Bloomfield. For the first time, they're going to go into a second round, which congratulations to that program. Lakeview, NE8 game, non-tournament game. They run it up on Struthers. They beat the Wildcats in 5 innings, 14-1. That was in game 1 of the doubleheader. They take the nightcap, 11-10. Marlington gets a victory over West Branch. Boy, that Marlington team is good. They beat West Branch 3-2. Very well played game. Both teams with 6 hits. Marlington scoring the go-ahead run in the bottom of the 6th inning as they held on and defeated West Branch by the score of 3-2. Salem gets a victory over Canton South 2-1. And we made mention in one of the other Division IV games, Sebring getting a victory over Wellsville as the Trojans move on. That is in the Candlelight Knolls. And actually, that was not in the Candlelight Knolls district. That's in the Jackson-Milton district. Sebring getting the victory in the Jackson-Milton district. They will play the Bristol team that is seated 6th in the Super Size Me Division IV districts. Sebring will play Bristol. By the way, we made mention Bloomfield is going to be playing the 8th seed in this tournament, Badger, on Wednesday. There were other games, tournament games in Division IV. Southern eliminated Fairport Harbor 8-5, and Brookfield blew out Ashtabula St. John 15-1. Brookfield is going to be home to Lordstown. Brookfield is the 4 seed. They decided instead of taking the bye that they wanted to play, and good for them. They knocked off the 19 seed Ashtabula St. John. Now they will take on Lordstown, and Lordstown in this tournament is seeded number 7. So it'll be number 7 Lordstown against number 4 Brookfield. The winner will go into the district semifinals at Candlelight Knolls up in Warren. All right, tournament action for today. Lakeview is at Geneva, Struthers is at Alliance, Cheney is at Girard, Salem at Streetsboro, and Southeast at Paynesville Harvey. That's all in the Hubbard district. All of those games will start at 5 o'clock. In the Jefferson district, Kenston is at Ashtabula, Edgewood, West Geauga is at Perry, Ravenna at West Branch, East at Jefferson, Niles at Chardon, Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. All of those games will begin at 5 o'clock. In Division 3, in the LeBray district, Conneaut is at Springfield, Kirtland is at LeBray, East Palestine is at Garfield, Liberty is at Cardinal Mooney. Those games will begin at 5 o'clock. And in the South Range district, Camel is at Ursuline, United is at Rootstown, and Crestwood is at Newton Falls. Those games will begin at 5 o'clock. We do have one game that was pushed from Tuesday to today in Division 1. Harding will be at Howland. The winner of that game takes on North Canton Hoover tomorrow afternoon. And in Division 4, Chalker is at Wyndham. That's in the Candlelight Knolls district. The winner of that game will take on Lisbon tomorrow afternoon. In the Jackson-Milton district, Kennedy is at Lowellville, Middlefield Cardinal is at Mineral Ridge, and Maplewood is at Western Reserve. Those games start at 5 o'clock, and that's the holdover from yesterday's rainouts in Division 4. When Mother Nature did a number on us on Mother's Day, it kind of destroyed a lot of fields, and there were plenty of cancellations in softball as well as baseball. Speaking of which, we will have the games on the network today and early this evening. That is all coming up after this timeout as we close up shop on this Tuesday edition of Running Points, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. We're back in a bit. Stick around.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer goes the extra mile to bring you the largest selection of vehicles at one convenient location. With guaranteed credit approval, I will find you the right vehicle and the right financing options for you. I am ready to go the extra mile to show you why no other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
This is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back as we close up shop on this Tuesday edition of Running Point. Let's run through, no pun intended there, let's run through the sporting events that you will be hearing and seeing on the network today. Tennis match in Struthers between Jefferson and Struthers. The tennis match gets underway at 3:30. Baseball action from Mohawk just outside of Newcastle, PA. Elwood will visit Mohawk. That game will get underway at 4:15. Here are your 5 o'clock games. Harding is at Boardman for a baseball game. Malvern is at Heartland Christian. These are baseball games, by the way. Poland is at Hubbard. Brookfield is at Liberty. Salem is at West Branch, and Springfield is at Ursuline. Your softball games beginning at 5 o'clock. Liberty is at Mooney. That'll be a tournament game, as well as Kirtland at LeBray. Warren JFK at Lowellville. Ravenna at West Branch. And Campbell at Ursuline. At 7 o'clock this evening, Youngstown East will be taking on Cardinal Mooney at Scene Park. That is a 7 o'clock start. All of those games will be on the network. Go to ysnlive.com, click on your favorite school, and you will be able to see your favorite school in action. That'll do it for the Tuesday edition of Running Point. Stick around. Coming up momentarily, it is Power Hour. They'll take you through the 3 o'clock hour. I'll be back tomorrow alongside Anthony Hartwig. We'll do it again, noon to 3 for a Wednesday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com. Make it a great rest of your Tuesday.